Well, it's timely for us. I mean, it's a shame that all these people have to die from cholera. I mean, we've been sitting here with this emergency water filtration system for a long time. And, we've tried to get people to sponsor it. We've tried to get FEMA to sponsor it. We've tried to get, the U.S. And even Winn-Dixie's donating 15 truckloads of bottled water to us. Or at least, Mission Harvest Haiti down in coming out of Jacksonville to go to the NGO. And just giving people water doesn't help them with their water, because when you quit giving them water, they're done. They can't make their own, and that's what our unit does. So we're doing a PowerPoint on it. I've already got a video that I did as a demo. I don't really know why they need a lot more than that. It's a simple problem. There's not a lot of explanation needed. You're throwing a lot of bottles on the ground. So they got 120 million plastic bottles sitting on the ground with no sanitation pickup in Haiti or in Port-au-Prince right now. And then they've got all these UN camps, and 60 Minutes showed it last night. I mean, the conditions are absolutely deplorable of what these people are living in. And, of course, people think it can't happen in the U.S., and it's already happening here with the tent cities that are up around Sacramento and other places. Women down in Florida with tent cities, they've already reported this, being raped. And, people don't get it. Did I go into screen share with you?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is my back office here. I was going to show you. This is kind of stuff I do on my website. This is a blog. This was called Extracation. I've had it in Q. And because on my website, one of the things I have on there is from the mailbag. So when people write comments and things into me, for the last 3 weeks, I've just been busy. I was supposed to go to New York to deliver this photograph. Not photo, but the portrait. And hang on one second, I'll show you that. I commissioned Christy to do the portrait for Leslie Voltaire, who's probably going to be the next president down there. We were supposed to deliver in Atlanta. He got called back. Then we were supposed to go to New York, and I'd set up and planned for that. And it's a good thing I didn't go to New York, because I would have never gotten the gallery done. I would have never finished this art gallery and what had to be done in the amount of time it had to be done in. Oh yeah, here it is. Can you see that?
Let me see.
That's the portrait.
Oh, okay. That's what she did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice.
So we had it on display. She didn't even have it on display really, because she's doing other series and other artworks, and then we had other artists in here on Friday night. But what she did, I finally went and brought this up because one of the gentlemen that was there was an architect, and we were talking about, he has a solar power company, and he built a solar power plant for the city of Vegas that powering about 90,000 homes out there. And he's taken all of his renewable energy sources, and he's now focusing on hydroponics, and he's already got the mayor of Atlanta. He's in negotiations with Atlanta about putting hydroponics down there, and also in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the hub for 4 major food chains: Harris Teeter, Food Lion, Ingalls, and something else. And even they get at least 20 to 25% of their food from California. And I don't know if you know what's going on in California, but they've done a referendum out there where they're putting a 20% carbon tax on all these trucks and everything that's burning, too much, putting out too much CO2.
Right.
And of course, we also have a catalytic converter. Or Anthony does. He's involved with a business where they have a catalytic converter that will take care of that, but nobody knows about it yet. It'll actually change the emissions to O2, and they've already done the testing in California. But if this is enacted or put into place, this referendum on January 1st, then you're looking at the food supplies in the U.S. going down. But so I was very interested in that, and I said, well, what about hydroponics in Haiti? Because it would go very well down there. I mean, they need our water filters. Now, here's another thing. As soon as he left the house, I called Anthony on the phone. I said, we're going to have some meetings in Atlanta here soon. Related to the hydroponics, because one of the things in building the nation state, and when I was working with the Sovereign Earth Alliance and trying to build that, and being, never mind, I won't go into that.
Okay.
One of the things of the conversation for 3 years was, we want to be able to have land do hydroponics, and his operation, he's telling me every time he sets one up, whatever acreage, I can't remember exactly, it creates 500 jobs. And he's talking to Beverly Perdue's son, who's the governor here, and he's telling him, look, you guys need to create jobs. Forget that this is also going to help with your food production, and if California goes down and all that kind of stuff, you're still creating more jobs, and this needs to happen. I just don't know if it's going to happen in the U.S. If this gentleman gets elected in Haiti, it's going to be hopefully easier to start getting things done in Haiti, because that was their major complaint on 60 Minutes last night. One of the things she did with the photograph, though, you can see his website is leslievoltaire.com, which is L-E-S-L-E, I'm sorry, L-I-E, Voltaire. And this field here was a blank blue. She took a photograph off Haiti and and actually added this to the portrait. It looks really nice. It's sitting upstairs right now in the gallery. So, anyway, going back to my website, from the mailbag, I get things in all the time in comments, and this is one of the comments. I don't have the name in here yet. I've got to go back in and find out who it was that actually sent this one to me. Anything that comes off the website comes into the Google Mail for comments. It comes directly to me. So I pull them out of here if I want to do a blog about it. And in this one, I should go into this with Gary a little bit too, because he knows some things that are going on, and so does Joey, with the fact that they're closing the doors down in the U.S. And this was something that she had read. I remember this is who was a member on the site. But she says, if the only way to extricate oneself from U.S. citizenship is to undergo a naturalization process in another foreign country, can you explain a little more about the info? I found this today. How does it relate to this process? Now, that specifically comes out of a court case. And I think I'm going to go pull that up for you real quick. Let's see if I can find that here. I'm not sure. It was a Japanese-American case. I can't remember if it's here. We've got immunity of public officials. No. And that's the We the People Foundation case, where they told them, hey, you guys have no right of redress anymore. We did away with that during the Civil War. Because all these people want redress, right?
Well, yeah, you mean through the 14th Amendment, Civil War?
No, they enacted the Lieber Code. It's martial law. Everything's under martial law. You read the Lieber Code yet?
Yeah, I would look through it. But the Civil War, that's when they did the 14th Amendment, right?
Yeah, in '68. But the Lieber Code was done in '63.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, that's in Wikipedia. But if you go here, this is the entire Lieber Code. It tells you right in here. But because remember Article 2, Section 3, President can suspend Congress and send them all home until he deems fit to bring them back, which is why Patrick Henry told him, your president will have the powers of a king. You send Congress home, leaves him in power, him and his cabinet. And this was War Secretary Stanton that wrote this instruction for Government of Armies of the United States in the field, martial law. This is it. It's all under martial law. People say, well, it's martial rule. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? There are no courts. There are no juries. The juries have been done away with, even in the code. Jurors are public officials in Title 18, Section 201, and in Title 28, under random jury selection, public officials are barred from jury duty. So if a juror is a public official and public officials are barred from jury duty, then where's the jury? The answer is there is no jury. All courts are Star Chamber courts. All of them. Under this code right here. Martial law does not cease during hostile occupation except by special proclamation. Yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go into this. Go back to my website. People can go read this on their own. But this had to do with specifically some things that are coming down from executive orders and things that the U.S. is doing right now. About, I think, over a 10-year period, to become a citizen and expatriate now, you have to give up like half of everything you got to become a citizen of another jurisdiction.
Right.
And now she's come out and said that, well, this was something she copied, and she doesn't state where she copied it from. The U.S. government does not recognize the renouncing of U.S. citizenship, so an American who becomes a naturalized Mexican continues to be a U.S. citizen in the eyes of the United States, according to the U.S. Embassy. I don't know where it came from. In this article as well, this is her comment, it mentioned that even when Mexicans renounce their citizenship from Mexico and become naturalized here, they are still considered naturalized Mexicans. Is this only for Mexico? Well, you have to remember the NAU, right? The North American Union.
Right.
And so what I told her is, it's not posted yet, it's going to be posted. So let me tell you what you're seeing here in the United States and Mexico's response. First, people believe that these governments have differing opinions at the top of the heap. They do not. So get that out of your head up front, okay? Mexico signed onto the treaties that will implement the North American Union, just like the U.S. and Canada did. I know because I've seen the treaties that all three countries signed. So make no mistake about it. Whether they ever implement the NAU or not, they are still working together to enforce what is called the international public order. So who cares, a U.S. citizen, Mexican citizen, it doesn't make any difference, right?
Right.
I put out a quote in a recent blog, and the quote came from, this was a blog I did where I posted this book called Intervention in International Law. It's something I found during the research we did for Dario Bush. It was a great, great book on international law and intervening, especially like another book we found, Protecting Foreign Nationals Abroad, and all this stuff pertains to the right of self-determination. These are things that people have to know. I have to know. Minister of Foreign Affairs has to know. I'm planning on doing a conference call here. I think I've already mentioned this to you, and I talked to Jag, and because I want him on this call, and I'm going to be talking to Gary. I'm going to probably set up a panel of people who've been very close to me for several years now, so that people get to hear more than just me talking about the importance of the right of self-determination and the importance of, if you want freedom, don't expect the Illuminati to dumb themselves down. You better come up to their level. It took me 10 years, and I'm not done yet. I'm still studying. Still studying more than anybody else on my website, except for maybe Joey and a few others. There's some guys like your age, you're 29, Joey's 31, that are just ripping it apart right now as far as the education curve. I don't have as much time as I used to have. I mean, dealing with these water filters, and hopefully we'll get an order for about 5,000 down in Haiti right now, and I'd love to be able to do 5,000 a week if these NGOs will get off the dime and let's get this done, because these people really need the filters. And I've known this for 4 years. This filter's been used in the mission field in many, many countries, over 60,000 delivered. In DR, this thing reduced the infant mortality rate by 92%. But just like the conversation I just told you about, that's going on. Hydroponics, there's all these other things I keep looking at. Anthony and Dr. Painter both just went back down to Haiti. Dr. Painter on Saturday. Anthony just got down there today. Sasha from Haiti, I talked to him last night. He's been sick over the weekend, so I don't know if he's got a touch of this cholera himself. And I'm working on a PowerPoint presentation to get down to these guys so that they can go start talking to these NGOs. There's 800 NGOs on the ground, and they've already got 3 interested. In addition to that, one of the ones came back and said, we want to see an actual water test on the water here in Haiti. They've got my Broward test for the Broward labs, but I just paid another $600, so they go ahead and just test the water down in Haiti through the national lab down there, and we'll get those results back because we know what it can do. Anyway, I stopped here. A quote out on a recent blog was Intervention in International Law. People need to know this stuff. If you're going to be dealing in supreme law of the land, which is international law, as it mentions in the Constitution, and it also mentions in the 6th International Conference of American States, which is a convention and all kinds of treaties that the United States has signed on to, international law is the law of the land, not common law. But international law, if you actually understand it, common law is built on judges and court case decisions and case law within the jurisdiction that you belong to. International law, when you read the law of nation, is the law that is built on the law of nature and nature's God, just like they put it in the Declaration. That's the real common law that these people and these gurus out here don't want to tell you about.
Okay.
Because they don't know. They think they know. They don't know. So when they tell me about common law, and I go look up the definition of common law, and they tell me it's judge's law, and they say, well, there is no common law in the United States because everything is administrative courts and administrative law, and I go, that's because in the United States, administrative law is your common law.
Right.
Because you're not in China, and you're not in Britain, and it's not 1215, and you ain't under the Magna Carta. You're under the Libra Code that I just pulled up. Martial military rule. Anyway, So I said in here, in fact, we put this entire book online, and it states in Chapter 1 that all nations are agents of the law of nations to enforce international law within the territorial jurisdiction over which they hold sway. Now, see, that goes back to Mexican nationals, U.S. nationals, and so forth. Now, about this thing of the international law and territorial jurisdiction, I said, this being true, this makes international law the supreme law of the land in every nation. This is a fact. This is true. This is not a problem, and I like it because international law is where you find the right of self-determination. This is why they cannot stop those that seek self-determination under peaceful settlement. They must honor this right. It's international, but you must state the reasons that impel you to go to this level. Now, about the citizenship you comment that was up here about U.S. and what the U.S. Embassy's making in a statement about not honoring, this other citizenship move or whatever. Changing citizenship does not state the reasons that impel you to make this change or to do anything else. It's merely a lateral move, and it's a dodge. And yes, they are closing the door on U.S. citizens, debtor subjects. This is what one would call the normal naturalization process of leaving one country to become a citizen of another. This is not the right of exile. This is not the right of self-determination. And under international law, the United States is correct. They do not have to allow it. They don't have to allow you the right to become a citizen of another jurisdiction. They do not. You're their citizen. Now, I say that, in a sense they do, but they're changing the rules. Now, the reason they do is if you go read the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, it says that people can change their nationality if they want to, but the conditions are changing. And I explained the reason why. Look at it like this. If you're one of their cows and the cow seeks to remain a cow, but it wants to move onto someone else's ranch, then what can the farmer or rancher do to the cow? Can he prevent the cow from getting out of its pen? Yes. Can he build a bigger pen? Yes. Can the rancher shoot the cow for being a bad cow? Yes. How do we know this? Well, they once had this battle called the Civil War, where the southern states tried to extricate themselves from the Union without paying their fair share of all the debts back to the kings of Europe and to the international creditors. That's what the Civil War was really about.
Right.
If you want to secede from the Union, then fork over all the money. Pay off all the debts, before you think you can just extricate out of here. So this is the same problem with U.S. citizens. Do you see this?
Exactly.
Right? They're all e pluribus unum. That's what I said. See, people don't really know what the Civil War was about. It's about the same thing it's always been about, money and debt. The United States owed debts by treaties. The southern states wanted to secede. But what about the international debt obligations that they'd already agreed to by being a part of the more perfect union, right?
Right.
And the same goes for United States citizens. You're part of e pluribus unum, means one out of many, or literally from many, one. You owe your fair share of all the debts, along with every other citizen that you are one with, or every other U.S. citizen that you are one with. See, in international law, and on the website, if people listen to any of my presentations, they have already heard me tell them this, because it's in the 7th International Conference of American States that the federated state is viewed as a sole person. So the U.S. is just complying with international law. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. We're all one. Where we go one, we go all. If we're going $200 trillion in debt, then all you guys are going with us, because you're our citizens. So does this not make sense to you? Because this is how the international creditors are looking at it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it makes sense. Like China, all debts are really, being that we're bankrupt, if China wanted to call in all their debts, they could make the U.S. their property, right?
Correct.
They want to call in all the bonds like they're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that's a pledge. The U.S. has pledged the good faith and credit of the American people to support all the debt.
Like if China wanted to come in and divide this up into little pieces, they can do that because they own all our debt.
Well, and Hillary, as soon as she was appointed by Obama,
the Queen of England, right?
Well, Hillary actually, as far as China's concerned, her first act when she was appointed to head of state, the head of the State Department, by Obama, she went to China, and China now has eminent domain in the United States to take property for debt.
Right.
And that's by treaty. Anyway, they're not going to let you or anyone else dodge out of their debt obligations because without cause or without stating the reason that impels you to do so. See, that's why the lateral move from being a one citizen to another doesn't do anything. Because you're still a debtor, and you're probably going into another debtor nation state anyway. And what would be the cause? What would you state to a candid world as your reason for leaving their clutches and form a new or neo state? This is the Matrix. Neo meant new. Why would you form a neo state, a new state, and exercise the right of self-determination? This is why they will honor this right. Is international, and it's what they have always done. They fled and fought tyranny. They might be the ones that put it on you now, but if they didn't, would you change? Would any nation state change if the people didn't have to face tyranny and subjugation? In the movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, the entire premise of the movie was summed up in one statement, which was this: it's only at the precipice that mankind changes. Did you see that movie Keanu Reeves did?
I believe so.
Yeah, they're about to be wiped out, right? See, if you saw the 1951 movie, they told them, we're here, we're just watching. Well, how many years later? 60 years later almost, they come back and say, we're no longer watching. You guys are destroying the planet. If the Earth dies, you die. If we kill all of you, then the Earth gets to survive, and we'll just start all over, which the universe or the Creator is entirely capable of doing, correct?
Right.
So, no problem with getting rid of mankind if you don't want to steward the planet correctly. It's all about responsibility. And people don't want that much responsibility. Most people don't. But that's really what it is about. And they're telling people in the movies, just like the Matrix, you got to form a new state so that right of self-determination, peaceful settlement of dispute, Zion gets to march down the path right beside the Matrix. And that's what the Oracle said to the architect at the end of the movie. What about the others? He said, what others? She said, those who still want to be free. Well, of course they'll be freed. What do you think I am, a human?
Right.
So, but like I said, it's extreme times call for extreme knowledge. They're not dumbing themselves down just so you can pretend that this is Disney World. They're not doing that. And I don't know if people are getting the message from me or not. I mean, I have my guys now around me, and Todd's listening to radio programs and stuff I do all the time, and he's like, I've known you for 2 years. You never stop saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's the same thing. The education level increases as I continue to improve and study and build the relationships of everything now with you on board and Jag and all that. I mean, eventually this has to be done. He has some other plans. He and I talked about that today, but I won't go into that right now.
Okay.
Anyway, I said, and this is not going to happen for everyone. It's just not going to. 55 men did this out of 2 million people 245 years ago, or 246 or whatever it was.
Right.
55 men out of 2 million people. That's a micronation.
Exactly.
It's just that the micronation is now running the slave plantation of those who don't want to take responsibility. Here, be our slaves. You don't want to take responsibility and state to a candid world the reason and impel you to get out from under tyranny, then be a slave. Somebody's got to take responsibility around here, and if you're not going to, we're just going to have to put it on your head. It's the old maxim that they had for years, where there's a whip, there's a way. I developed the name of this website because I believe in solutions, not revolution, and all war is dishonor. I love that thing in that movie. What was it, Jonah Hex? All war is dishonor. Especially watching that clip you sent me from BuildFreedom.com. That just infuriated me, watching them soldiers mow those Iraqi people, civilians, down in the street for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
That's just heinous. Oh, and people think they're absolved. Well, I'm not involved in the war. I'm like, you're paying for it. You're paying taxes. Pay your taxes for sending people over there so they can kill innocent men and women and children in the streets. But they deserve it. How do you know they deserve it? What'd they do to you? As a matter of fact, we're talking about Iraq. What'd they do at all? I've talked to people that say, well, they were involved in the World Trade Center. I go, excuse me, you guys can't remember far past your nose. That was Afghanistan, wasn't it? I remember your media convincing you that it was Afghanistan that did that.
Right.
Had nothing to do with Iraq. So what are you doing in Iraq? Why are you paying taxes to murder them children over there that were in that van? Don't get me started. All war is dishonor, and revolution is not the solution. See, it really isn't. It's just not the solution. That's why I called it Matrix Solution. And even in the movie The Matrix, revolution was not the solution. He went to the city and asked for peace, to the machine world. He went back to source and asked for peace, or had a parlay, or called a truce, or what. So this is what I said. Even in the Matrix trilogy, Neo had to first deprogram, then reprogram. He had to be able to see the codes before he could alter or vary the codes, variation by agreement, and the system's response to him, or rather his response to the system. In other words, response ability. But even learning all the codes and how to vary the agreement for what he could do in the system, ultimately he still could not defeat the system. Why? Because too many people love the system. People might claim they hate it, but they don't. They love it, and they will never come out of it. They want revolution and are not willing to go to peace. They're not willing to take responsibility. So Neo had to go back to source and then claim a truce, a peaceful settlement, so that Zion could continue to exist separate from the Matrix. And this is exactly what Matrix Solutions is all about. Everyone, individually and severally, together with others of like mind, will have to state to a candid world the reasons that impel them to assume their separate and equal station. Like Neo, you will have to kill your Smith. That me attitude that's destroying the world. Remember what he said? Hey, you like what I've done with the place?
Right.
You know, the good thing about being me is there's so many me's. Look around, I've destroyed the entire place. And exercise the honor that's necessary to remain outside the system, but like Zion, existing in peace alongside the Matrix. Education comes first. This is called deprogramming, then reprogramming. You have been trained in the Matrix by the Matrix. You thought you had freedom until you found out that you were merely a cow, a free-ranging human that agreed to be part of the Matrix called e pluribus unum. You are one with the rest of the herd. The American subjects in and debt are slaves. See, and you and I already talked about that in the UCC. Everybody's registered as what?
Chattel.
Farm animals, right?
Right.
Registered as farm animals right here in the good old US of A. But they got you through misrepresentation. They're misrepresenting the Matrix to you, which is what the Matrix was, wasn't it? Look at it. You think you're free. This is the height of your civilization. The world's already been scorched. That's your reason that impels you. State the reason that impels you. Governments must exist among men and women, but there's no need to be a part of a system that's full of total fraud and misrepresentation if you don't want to be. There's only one key that fits one door. So that's my blog for the day. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. Right to the point.
Yeah, I'm way behind. I have had very little time in the last 3 weeks, but I got to increase the pace. The membership has grown by 30% in the last 6 weeks, and people need more and more material. And I really need to just, it's why I got to do the conference calls. But the conference calls are not going to be geared toward answering everyone's questions. It's going to be geared toward helping build the affiliate program, because the new state has to have its own income generation capabilities, just like the United States did when they first formed.
Right.
And you and I have already discussed that, and the emails have gone back and forth between you and I. This is education systems have to be there. There's other things that we've talked about. I've made this into an affiliate program, and I had a lady today I was talking to, been talking to her for weeks, and she said, well, why don't you turn in an affiliate program or whatever? And I finally went, wait a minute, you're not a member on my site? You keep telling me I need to do all this, and you're doing internet marketing, and you're talking about being my assistant, wanting to help or whatever, but you're not on my website? You don't know what's actually going on? I said, I already have the affiliate program. And there's people that are already, that they've done, referred 4 people, or referred 3 and they referred 1, or referred 1 and they referred 3 or whatever, and theirs is free. They're not paying anything. They pay $27 a month to get $27 a month back. So that was my first goal, was to try to help people get it, that want to get the education for free, get it for free by just referring a few people. Now there's others that we're in negotiation with right now. One's got 17,000 members on Twitter, and of course Drew Anna. I think we're supposed to be on radio with her soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard about. Well, yeah.
I think Jag wants me and him and Omar,
right.
to do a
Well,
program.
about November, I thought that Paul with Joanna was supposed to be in November. I do remember that.
Let me do this. I do need to take off for a minute, because I need to get in touch with Anthony and Haiti, and get back with Corey and see if she's working on this PowerPoint She was supposed to watch the video I sent her a few minutes ago, which was the demo that I did 2 years ago on the product. And maybe I'll just hit you tomorrow. I need to take care of some things. I'm way behind. I got to get caught up.
Okay.
But I am ready to start recording.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Nico. All right.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Bye.